So Caitlin Clark was playing in a game against, what's the name of the other team?
It doesn't even matter.
Okay, it doesn't. Chicago,
matter.
Thank you, Chicago. Let's show it. Show it again. So this girl comes up to her from behind.
The ball is nowhere near them.
Nowhere
so there's
near
an inbound
her.
pass about to come. Like, that makes no sense. Like, if having watched and played basketball, it just makes no sense that you do that.
It was her expressing her anger. That's what was happening there.
Yeah.
This wasn't play. This was, I'm angry with you. Here's what she's claiming now.
Going back and forth, it's basketball, it's all hoops. After we finish the game, it's all love. I don't have any regrets with anything. I'm gonna compete and play 100% hard no matter who it is.
It's just rough on the court, but it's all love off the court. But listen to this. July of 2021, Kennedy Carter was suspended for conduct detrimental to the team. Carter got into an argument with another player on the Dream, Courtney Williams, who asked her to improve her attitude during a game. After the game ended, Carter went up to Williams in the locker room, telling her she wanted to.
It's unbelievable that 177% of all fouls in the entire league seem to target just one player. Even though this was Caitlin Clark's first season, her standout performance quickly made her a target for some of the most aggressive players and a controversial focus for wnba referees. Last night, the Fever got their first win in Los Angeles, and that had to be tough for Caitlin, not just for the loss, but for needing incredible patience with herself and her team. Caitlin is fiercely competitive and committed to excellence. She wants results immediately, which drives her greatness. The referee's treatment of Caitlin isn't just about a few questionable calls. It's starting to look like a concerted effort to keep her down, backed by biased officials like Marcy Williams. These referees are bending to pressure from WNBA veterans who seem intimidated by Caitlin's rise. Caitlin Clark entered the league with a confidence we haven't seen in years, but instead of celebrating this rising star, it feels as if officials have made her a target. It's almost as though there's an unwritten rule. Caitlin Clark isn't supposed to succeed. Let's talk about that infamous technical foul everyone's buzzing about. Caitlin was hit with a tech for merely slamming the board in frustration, a call that felt like an attempt to silence her. But Caitlin Clark is not one to back down. By pandering to this pressure from seasoned players threatened by Caitlin's talent, the referees risk abandoning the integrity of the game. Caitlin Clark was simply doing what she does best, taking control, leading her team, and scoring. But when it seemed she was about to pull away, Knight Carrington made a shocking move. She went for what appeared to be the ball, but ended up poking Caitlin directly in the eye. Caitlin immediately clutched her face, visibly in pain, struggling to see. And yet, nothing. Not a single whistle from the refs, not even a pause in the game. This wasn't a slight graze, it was a direct hit that left Caitlin fighting to regain her vision. The game continued as if nothing had happened while she tried to compose herself. This wasn't just a missed call, it was a blatant decision to ignore an obvious foul, leaving Caitlin at a major disadvantage. You could see the impact right away. She became less aggressive, her shots were off, and her usual court vision was impaired. The eye poke altered her game, taking away the edge that makes her a standout player. Rhythm and the refs allowed it to happen without consequence. The Fever ended up losing 93-69. But it wasn't just a loss on the scoreboard, it was a loss of integrity by officials who were supposed to protect players like Caitlin Clark. In the season opener at this very venue, it became clear. When the blitz was on Clark, her talent in delivering the ball to Aliyah Boston was remarkable, with Clark leading the league in assists and averaging over 19 points per game. Yet, when Clark, expected to be her squad's spark, was left reeling from an eye poke, it wasn't just a physical assault. It was an attack on her confidence, sanctioned by officials who seemed to view her as just a rookie, unworthy of protection. And if anyone thought it ended there, think again. Game 2 arrived, and guess who was in charge again? Marcy Williams. This time, the targeting of Caitlin Clark became painfully clear. The refs allowed her to be shoved, hacked, and treated like a punching bag. Why? Because Williams and her team were afraid. Afraid of the backlash from established stars if they called the game fairly, so they chose to compromise Clark's safety instead. When questioned about the eye poke, the player responsible said, "I don't even know why I would intend to hit anybody in the eye. I didn't know I hit her. I was trying to make a play on the ball and followed through. But it's never intentional, that's not even the type of player I am." But intent aside, the lack of action from officials was glaring. This isn't just lousy officiating, it's a calculated decision. Fans see it, they see a young player like Clark suffering because the refs are pandering to veteran stars who feel threatened by her potential. And Marcy Williams, this isn't the first time you've been involved in controversial calls. Remember last season's game between the Aces and Liberty? You ejected Sabrina Ionescu over a minor dispute, proving that for you, it's not about fairness, it's about control. Now with Caitlin Clark, it's even worse. You've turned the whistle into a weapon against a player simply trying to play the game the right way. Your fear of upsetting established stars is tearing down the integrity of the game. Instead of protecting the future of the league, you're compromising it from the inside. The stats don't lie. An incredible 177% of all fouls in the WNBA this season have been called against Caitlin Clark. Think about that. Among every player in the league, a rookie is leading in fouls against her. This isn't a coincidence, it's a clear sign of bias. It's almost as if there's an unspoken message. Know your place, Caitlin. Don't rise too quickly. In a recent Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky matchup at Wintrust Arena, it became clear that Caitlin is facing a disturbing pattern. The eye poke she suffered wasn't an isolated incident. Throughout the season, Clark has endured foul after foul with referees looking the other way time and time again. It feels like there's a silent agreement to let her absorb these hits. In one high-profile game against the New York Liberty, Caitlin drove toward the basket and took a hard elbow to the face from a Liberty defender. The impact was so forceful that she stumbled backward, visibly shaken. The crowd held its breath, waiting for a foul call that never came. The refs witnessed it and chose to continue play, leaving Caitlin and the fans outraged. How can anyone call this fair when an obvious assault is ignored? Last season, Clark sprinted down the court only to be openly shoved by Aja Wilson, sending her crashing into the first row of seats, a dangerous move that could have seriously injured her. Again, the refs swallowed their whistles. Caitlin's frustration was palpable as she picked herself up, clearly wondering why she isn't given the same protection as other players. The answer seems clear. The officials are afraid. They fear backlash from veteran WNBA stars who don't want to see a rookie like Caitlin taking the spotlight. In another game against the Los Angeles Sparks, Caitlin faced relentless physicality. She was hacked, grabbed, her arms clawed at, and her jersey pulled on her way to the basket. Yet, not a single foul was called in her favor. The referees were right there, but they looked away, allowing her to be brutalized to avoid conflict with the opposing team's veterans. It was a blatant display of bias, leaving Caitlin bruised and unable to play to her potential. All these incidents have taken a toll on Caitlin Clark's performance. A rookie with immense potential, she's forced to second-guess every shot and every play, questioning her moves instead of focusing on her game. It's not just physical wear, it's psychological warfare. And worse still, the WNBA's silence only enables this biased officiating. By ignoring this issue, the league is letting this behavior persist, punishing Caitlin simply for being bold enough to excel. Great for daring to rise quickly as a rookie, the refs are letting her get attacked because they're too afraid to stand up to the league's biggest names. They're protecting their own interests instead of the purity of the game. This is what they came for. Oh my goodness, it never gets old. That's what's truly motivating this bias. It's fear. You unscrupulous refs are frightened of the huge reaction you face from the WNBA superstars. If you declared it fair, players like Aja Wilson and Brianna Stewart have developed their reputations over years, and they're not going to allow a newbie like Caitlin Clark to come in and steal their thunder. They'll pressure you, and you know it. They'll make sure you feel it in every game you officiate. So instead of standing your ground, you fold. You'd rather watch Caitlin get assaulted on the court than risk offending these great personalities. You've seen what happens when refs don't towel the line. Players lash out, coaches protest, and the league turns against you. Your cowards, plain and simple. You've decided to put your personal interests over the safety of a player who's done nothing except bring excitement and talent to the WNBA. To watch a Seattle Storm basket game and they see a classic, this isn't just affecting Caitlin Clark, it's damaging the entire league. Fans are tuning in to witness Caitlin play, to watch her make spectacular shots and lead her team, but instead, they're seeing her get brutalized on the court with no protection from the refs. It's turning folks away. They see the bias, they see the prejudice, and they're losing faith in the integrity of the game. The WNBA is meant to be about displaying the best talent, about giving a platform to incredible players like Caitlin Clark. But right now, it's indicating the reverse. It's indicating that if you're a rookie who climbs too fast, if you're a player who upsets the status quo, you'll be penalized, and you, Marcy Williams, are smack at the middle of it. They called the wrong foul on the floor, so Lewis still has one to get Martin for Marshall, and a foul there on the baseline. As Marshall went down hard, the truth is out there, and it's spreading rapidly. You dishonest referees, can keep making your biased calls, but you can't silence the fans. They realize what's occurring, and they're not going to stay quiet anymore. They know Caitlin Clark is being targeted because of fear, because of the pressure from superstars who don't want to share the limelight. And they know you're letting it happen because you're too terrified to do what's right. Caitlin Clark isn't going anywhere. She's going to keep fighting, keep playing, and keep proving that she belongs at the top. And as for you unscrupulous referees, your time is running out. The spotlight is on you now, and it's only a matter of time before everyone sees the truth. So what do you think? Is the WNBA going to remedy this situation, or are we going to keep watching these dishonest refs damage the game? If you agree that Caitlin Clark deserves more, tell us what you think below. Stay tuned.